Wade is guarding Bryant. Artest looking, gets it to Bryant. Bryant dribbling, has to put it up with the buzzer. Banks it in! He banks in the three! And the Lakers win the game!
Boom. What is up, Syndicate members, man? Welcome to Winning on Wednesday. As you know, we are here every Wednesday, 9 a.m. live right here in Austin, Texas, from the Insurance Syndicate headquarters. Thank y'all for tuning in, man. We got a doozy of a show for y'all today. I am super pumped for the show. My voice picked a bad day to kind of get wrecked, but it's there. It's just not all there, but it's there enough. So thank y'all so much for tuning in. As always, my name's Tony Merwin. This is my cohort, my partner, my ride or die, Joe Frazier Campert, the Tower of Power. What is going on?
What's going on, everybody? Happy winning on Wednesday. Again, as Tony said, thank y'all as always for tuning in. We do have a doozy. There's some, this is, especially if you're on the life and health side of things, definitely stay tuned. We are excited to have our guest on. I actually haven't met her yet, so I'm actually excited selfishly to get to ask some questions and sit here and learn a thing or two on my own freaking podcast. So I love it. Happy winning on Wednesday. Real quick, shout out to Viva Virtual Solutions. Thank y'all for everything that you do here within the Insurance Syndicate. Shout out to Lily Davies and Rob Lopez. Again, with Viva Virtual Solutions, y'all would not be able to do what we do here within the Syndicate. And I know just on the Clearview side of things, we would not be able to operate without our virtual assistants and really just our teammates. They're so crucial to how our organization works. So shout out to Viva. We appreciate you being the main sponsor of the show. If you guys are looking for a virtual assistant, hit up my man Rob Lopez with Viva Virtual Solutions. Y'all, you know what time it is. It's Winning on Wednesday. We're going to go ahead and get right into it. You're going to have to drop those weekly wins in the comments. Go ahead and drop them in. We want to celebrate you. I don't care how big or how small. Go ahead and drop those weekly wins in the comments. It is Winning on Wednesday. Mr. Merwin, what you got for a weekly win?
Today's show is going to be my weekly win. I'm super excited to have this guest on. Rebecca Davis connected us a while back. We had a chat about 2 weeks ago talking about some of the things she's doing, some of the things that we're trying to do. And the timing couldn't be better. Like, it's the day before Thanksgiving. CMS just dropped the new proposed final rule yesterday that's going to affect health agents and Medicare agents. There's all kinds of regulatory stuff that we're going to dive into. I don't want to get too far ahead of it yet before I introduce her. But today's show is my weekly win, so let's get it on.
I love it. Well, I'm going to get into my weekly win. You guys can see my camera already starting to freaking fritz out on me. So I'm going to drop my weekly win and get our guest on the show so that I can go play with this camera a little bit to make sure the quality is there for y'all. My weekly win, man, it's been a great week, man. I'm super excited for Thanksgiving. I'm hosting. I don't know if that's definitely not my win. I do like hosting, but man, that shit can be stressful. My weekly win is softball. So Texas Redwood, you guys know I am involved in the softball community. We have won 2 out of the 3, and they're like some of the largest tournaments that are played here in the state throughout the year. And so we actually ended up winning the whole thing. North versus South is the actual tournament. Dude, we won a bunch of bats, a bunch of freaking rings, shirts and stuff too, I'm pretty sure. But the shirts, it's classic, like you're not ever going to wear that. It's like your dish rag or something like that. But shout out to Texas Redwood. Y'all, we appreciate you guys. It was a lot of fun. I actually got to take my daughter out there, and it was like the best day. I'm sorry for anybody that doesn't live in Texas or anywhere that it's snowing like crazy right now. It was so freaking beautiful, and it was like a nice complex. My daughter's got her scooter out there, and she's so happy. She's da, 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 da. I can hear her singing to herself on her scooter riding around. So that was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun getting out there. So that is my weekly win. Y'all,
Excellent.
again, drop those weekly wins in the comments. We want to be able to celebrate you. I see Lily there. Also, too, just make sure, drop in the comments that you can hear and see us, and get your pen and paper ready. You see it in the description, because you need to be taking notes. So, Tony, if you want, man, go ahead and give us a quick little intro, and I'll bring our special guest on.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, Rebecca Davis connected me with this young lady a few months ago. We've been trying to put this show together, but schedule conflicts and issues, travel dates, all of that has kind of gotten in the way. But I was able to connect with her about 2 weeks ago. We had a nice long chat about what she's doing, some of the things that we're doing, and just kind of some of the challenges that agents are up against, right? I mean, we don't work for the government, but they sure like to regulate the hell out of us. So just to give you a couple things real quick, our guest is Ronnell Nolan. She is the president and CEO of Health Agents for America, HAFA for short, HAFA. Founded in 2012, they've got members in 43 states. It's a nonprofit trade association exclusively for the health insurance agent, period, right? Ronnell currently serves on the CMS Trade Group for the federally funded Marketplace, the Louisiana Department of Insurance Agent Advisory Board. She was specially appointed by Commissioner Jim Donelan. She represented Louisiana on the PEW or Pew Entrepreneur class, currently serves on the Louisiana Healthcare Commission, attained her health insurance license many times ago, and she is obviously a licensed agent and registered lobbyist. She is passionate about working on Washington, Capitol Hill, and state governments to affect change, positive change, for the insurance agent, for the broker. So please give me a virtual warm welcome. Put your virtual hands together for Ms. Ronnell Nolan. How you doing, darling?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for that introduction. And just an update, we have agents in all 50 states now. So
outstanding.
We've increased.
Outstanding. So do us a quick favor. You're new to the Insurance Syndicate. You're new to the show. Just take a couple of brief moments and let everybody know what you're about. And give us your weekly win.
I'm a little bit of a unique duck in that I've been in the insurance my whole life. I'm an agent, started as an agent, decided that lobbying would be fun. So I'm a registered lobbyist. And then I thought that agents needed a trade association to represent them exclusively, and wasn't scared to go to the mat and fight to the death. So I decided within a week to start, I call it Hoffa as a joke for Jimmy Hoffa, but it's either way you want to say it. But that's what I'm doing. I just every day dying on the sword for agents and brokers.
So what you got for a weekly win for us this week? What's cooking in your world that you feel positive about?
Weekly win, huge. I was quoted in the Washington Post yesterday, and being interviewed by Bloomberg this afternoon. So that means our word is getting out and Capitol Hill is reading what we're saying.
Let's go.
Yeah, baby. That's awesome.
I like that. So let's just dive right into it. You said that lobbying is something of interest, something that seems fun. What pushed you in that direction other than the fun aspect, so to speak?
To me, it's like a chess game. A lot of people do not like politics. I love politics. If somebody makes a move and I lose, I like, okay, that was a good move. I learned from that move. But it's a chess game. They're all humans. Lobbying is lobbying for what's good, and then lobbying against for what's bad. So it's really cool to kill a bill that's going to hurt agents and brokers. And it's really cool to pass a bill that's going to help agents and brokers and the clients that we represent. And that's what's so important.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously in the health insurance space, ACA, Medicare especially, it's extremely heavily regulated, right? Every year they got new regulations. They just dropped another 713 pages in CMS's proposed final rule. What, in your opinion, what are probably the biggest challenges that a health insurance agent faces today navigating this regulation in this world that we live in?
Our biggest problem is CMS is insane, and our current administration is insane. So they have put so many rules and regs on us that we can barely move, operate. And I am very excited about new administration coming in, all of these weird things rolling out. I'm actually flying to DC on Monday. We have an office in DC, and I'm meeting with Senator Cassidy, who just got the gavel for Senate help. And I'm meeting with Speaker of the House and House Ways and Means. And what I'm going to be able to do is talk about, here's our top issues: Medicare Advantage, not paying commissions, that's criminal. Some of the things that are happening on ACA, the three-way calls, all the things that they're doing to us so we can't do business, criminal. So I'm going to get on their radar before the change happens. And as soon as I can get next to Oz or RFK, I'm going to be stalking them like a crazy person.
Absolutely. And in regards to the compensation changes, right, with some of these Medicare Advantage plans, some of the drug plans, we know that some of the carriers have said, hey, we're not going to pay commissions going forward. You can keep your renewals. And we have other carriers that's like, nah, your renewals are gone too. Like that one definitely really rubs my hide, right? That one's bad. But what do you think? I mean, how can we as agents get around that? Like, can we actually affect change where these Medicare Advantage plans or these drug plans are now required to pay us commissions? I mean, in some aspects, I kind of agree with some of the MA plans because I feel like the reason they're not paying commissions on some of these different PPOs is because their plan is just to phase those low-rated plans out. So they're trying to discourage enrollment.
My thought process is they filed the rates with commissions. They filed their rates with CMS. That means commissions were included. Why are they allowed in the middle of open enrollment to pull commissions out? And then I've seen some agents on Facebook say, well, they're having financial problems. I call bull on that. I challenge anybody to follow the money, go look at how much that CEO makes and find out what kind of car they drive and if they have a private jet. And then you tell me you can't pay me commissions. It's bull all the way around. So that's one of my biggest questions going to be next week is how is CMS allowed to do this? And I'm putting it all in CMS's lap. They are allowing it to happen. They approved rates. Those rates absolutely included our commissions. We signed contracts, and then arbitrarily insurance companies decide, hey, you don't deserve to be paid. That doesn't work. It doesn't work on my watch, and it's not gonna be something they're not gonna hear about for a very long time.
Are you aware of any lawsuits that are currently in play because of that? I don't know if anybody's taken action against any of these carriers for that.
There's several on the ACA side. There could be some against carriers that'll be coming down the pike. So there's a lot of lawsuits going on that side. This side, not so much, because I think it kicked us in the gut. All these things happen while we're in the middle of open enrollment. CMS drops proposed rules. I have screamed at them for years about that. They do so many things when we have our pants down that we can't, respond. That's why agents have me. I can respond and I can say whatever I want to say, and there's nothing that can happen to me. Now, I'm not going to say CMS doesn't call and yell at me. They do. So do the carriers. You need to shut up. No, you don't pay me. I'm not going to shut up. So I'm going to try to do it Capitol Hill way first and see if some of these, high-ranking folks can put some pressure on these carriers. Because remember, I'm from Louisiana. Louisiana has the Speaker of the House, the Senate Finance, Senate Help, and Majority Leader with Steve Scalise. So those are my people. So to know that this isn't like I don't have Senator Cassidy's cell phone in my phone. I do. I texted him the other day. I mean, I have close relationships and I work really hard on those relationships in every state, because I think that those folks in Washington need to know. And there are many times when I go there, they have no idea what CMS just did to us. And they're like, are you kidding? Because CMS doesn't do anything through law. They make up their own rules and regs and just let it float. And we've got to stop that. And I think with President Trump and the new administration, and I can't wait to see who's going to be at the head of CIO, we'll change that. The other thing that we're missing in this equation, on the ACA side, we have Dean Mose, who is our liaison for ACA, works for CMS. We do not have anybody on Medicare side. If I try to find somebody on the Medicare side to help, they go underground. They're hidden. There's no one there. So that's another ask I'm going to ask on Capitol Hill. Is that something y'all can do for me? Can you, appoint somebody in that position so agents have somebody to talk to? Hey, the carriers aren't paying, or these rules and regs are insane, or whatever they're doing. So there's a lot of things happening that HOF is working on.
Back that up a second. You're saying there's no representative that you can talk to about Medicare legislation?
Absolutely not. So I've reached out to, staffers on the Hill. Can you give me your contacts? I email those contacts, no response. I asked, state government to give me names. They give me different names, no response. Ask CMS on the ACA side, email those folks, no response. They do not want to talk to agents or brokers or me. But they are, and they will.
They will.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of if, it is just a matter of when, right?
Right.
Let me ask you this. I can tell that like you're pissed off, right? And that pissed off comes from passion. Why are you so passionate about helping the agent? Or is it more you're so passionate about helping the consumer that the agent is just helped along the way? Or is it both? Like, where does that come from? Because like one of the first, lobbying was fun. Like you thought lobbying would be fun. I don't know about that, but or maybe right, but or maybe it's because I have such a passion to use my voice to help others. Like where did that start? Where did that come from? I'm curious on that.
It's absolutely both. When we started HAPA, agents didn't have a voice, and you guys can't say anything against a carrier because you have contracts and you sell their business and you're worried they're going to pull your contract. I don't have to say that. In what I've told CMS, by letting Medicare Advantage not pay, seniors are being taken away from their professional. So absolutely, it's agent and broker, but it's all the clients that are being hurt because they're being separated from us and they need us. So absolutely, my hair catches on fire every day. Something new happens. On the ACA side, they're taking minority agent certifications, cutting off their income, shutting them down without them even being proven guilty. No guilt at all. So we've been trying to fight to get those people, back to have their book. They can't renew people. They can't do anything. So some of the things CMS does, they should be very ashamed of themselves. And they have rescinded some of those certifications, but I get them every day. And we've been working with Dicehurst Law, which is a law firm out of DC, for many, many years. And James Napoli from Dicehurst and I spoke at the NAIC, National Association of Insurance Commissioners, last Monday in Denver. So we're presenting, and I'm presenting like I am. I'm transparent. And CMS Brass is sitting right behind me. And I said, I could be scared and say, okay, I need to tone this down. Or I can just go full force and say, this is what's happening. And this is what they're doing. People right behind me. And that's exactly what James and I did. And after that, that's when a couple of were rescinded. But I'm not scared of those folks who, some are going to lose their jobs because we have new administration. But what they're doing is wrong. So many things that they're doing is, I'm going to say criminal. Taking people's livelihood away, taking our income away. And then this deputy commissioner, and I don't remember what state, so I'm not going to say it. When we talked about losing our commission, she said, well, y'all can sell something else. And it brought me back. And I don't know if you'll remember, Hillary Clinton said, agents, you can just start doing something else. And I was like, lady, if I only sell ACA and I'm in the middle of open enrollment and you pull my income and I'm going to sell life insurance to people? No. Right. I mean, reality. Let's think.
Or property and casualty or something. And that's
right. Then I have to get a license.
And it's wild to me. Like even Tony was he printed me some stuff out because I'm not gonna lie, I don't know shit that goes on in y'all space. Like I don't even know what CMS stands for. I'm not even playing. And
Centers for Medicare and Medicaid. Now you know.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I didn't even know the difference between Medicare and Medicaid forever either. Not to say that I've obviously definitely educated myself and being down the hall from Tony.
That's
I
okay.
Hear his people on the phone and stuff. But, for me, and I bet you there's a lot of agents that are in this group that are listening that are maybe trying to get into y'all's space. And you just don't know what you don't know. When I'm looking through all the requirements and all the like, dude, if you do this, basically you're canned. And I know, and on our side of things, it's more kind of like for the TCPA type stuff. It's not like super regulated for like you guys are, but there are other people waiting on that line, waiting for you to like cold text them or something so they can sue your ass, right? Or CMS is just waiting for you not to have that call recording. So my question, like for especially a new agent that's trying to get in, how do you stay on top of all of this crap? Like for somebody who represents and lobbies and goes to all these meetings and is on Capitol Hill, like how do you stay on top of it and organize to make sure that you are staying compliant? And think of it more kind of like speaking to a new agent. Because again,
Right.
you just don't know what you don't know.
The important thing is they need to join an association that's watching. and watching their back. And what's so cool about HAFA is that we have amazing members. So somebody might have seen something or talked about something and they'll send it to me, because my eyes and ears can't be everywhere. But as a team and as an army, and I say, let's create an army, let's march shoulder to shoulder, and let's take back our industry. And that's what we've got to do. CMS has taken our industry. They've allowed the carriers to hurt us financially. We as agents need to not be competitive against each other, not worry about what you sell. Everybody needs to fight together. We, HAFA started a legal defense fund. We're collecting money. There's a lawsuit in Florida, North Carolina, and there could be one filed pretty soon out of DC for CMS shenanigans.
What? Be a little more direct on that. Like, what are some of those lawsuits aimed at?
It's the ACA side about taking people's certifications when they were not guilty.
What are they accusing them of being guilty of?
So you'll get a letter and it'll say, we've looked at 5 of your cases. And at that point, they take your certification, your income stops, the carrier quits paying you. And they might say, show me consent, that you got consent to help this client in 2021. Well, we all know we didn't have to have consent till 2023. So that's ridiculous. But because that person might not have had the consent that they think CMS wants at this time, they terminate them for 3 years. I mean, this is not a joke. So one of the guys that I talked about in Denver, I mean, broke my heart. He was an agent. He said, Ronnell, I'm the breadwinner. My wife is disabled. And they took my certification. They took everything. I don't know how. I got to tell her tomorrow. I've got to wake up and tell her we have no income. He got reinstated after Denver, which was a blessing. But then one of the ones that Dyser's Law was working on, he sold his book of business 50 cents on a dollar, and then they gave him back his certification. He wasn't guilty at all. So you're guilty until proven innocent, and it's ridiculous.
Real quick, hey, Lily, this perfect time, that link that I sent you, go ahead and drop that in the comments. So you guys just heard it. If you're new or you're looking to get in the space, or even you're just behind and you're looking for an organization, Lily, go ahead and drop that link to the comments. I pulled y'all's website so that they can go check you guys out. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to name the other organization, but you guys are way easier to pronounce too. So.
And I work really close with like Big I and PIA on your side.
Yeah.
So
Going back, looking at that whole ACA consent thing, I don't play in the ACA world. I'm just a Medicare geek. And obviously we have scope of appointments and different stuff that we have to do. But is my understanding correct that the whole consent form at the ACA thing came about because rogue agents were basically stealing clients in some capacity, going through the marketplace and flipping their agent a record or something like that?
Well, starting from the beginning, CMS allowed anyone to go onto a EDE partner, so where we enroll people, name, state, date of birth, and look up anybody's policy. So that opened the door to anybody. And then when Biden said anybody under 150%, you can change plans at any time. So I call them rogue entities because we've heard their call centers out of Pakistan. We don't know who they are. But they were going in because they could find those people easy and find a zero plan and just switch them and take the commissions. So you're absolutely right. But back on CMS's lap. So I've said from day one, add a 2-factor authentication, add something that only the agent and the client knows, and nobody could steal that. And They still, to this day, will not do that. Now, the other day I was talking to someone from CMS and they said, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. It's just taking us a while. But in the meantime, you're hurting my agents, my good agents. Right. No, you fix it. Don't tell me you don't have the money, because I know you have the money. Fix it, add a 2-factor, and let's move on. Then it would all stop. But at first it was the consent. Now you have to recertify with CMS every 6 hours, which is stupid and insane. So it's like they throw things against the wall and see if anything sticks. Fraud is still happening. They have the 3-way calls. If you get a new client and they had they want to change your agent, 3-way call. It could be a bot calling. They have no identity proofing on that call. They don't know if that's the real agent. They don't know if that's the real client, and they can't prove it, but that's their answer.
The
So their
two-factor-
answers are ridiculous.
I have to have a 2-factor authentication to get into my fantasy football team. So
Thank you. My computer's been acting and saying I got to do all kind of Microsoft craziness. It's everywhere. So why can't and CMS does it for us to be agents to log into our accounts? Why can't they do that for the ACA? Because they wanted to enroll as many people as possible, and that's all they cared about was the number.
So that they could.
And they opened that door and they caused this havoc.
Right. Makes sense. Yeah, I definitely see where it goes back to just, I mean, if you open that door where you allow anybody to log into the system and see everybody's stuff, like that seems like a HIPAA violation to me, number one. But then I can see where that absolutely opens that door.
Do you think and I'm not operating in this space. I definitely see the forums, and I know that there's not all good agents out there. Do you think that because of maybe a rise or uptick in shitty agents, which is why maybe it's been cracked down on more, or is it again just more where agents are getting screwed, or is it because we have had more bad apples kind of operating and taking advantage of seniors, that type of thing? What are your thoughts on that? Just curious.
Anytime you open the door to fraud's going to walk in, and when we first realized it, Hoffa created a fraud reporting tool, and CMS was blown away because they said, you want fraud reported? And we're like, yes, we don't want bad folks in our industry.
Right.
And of course, the fraud was coming out of Florida. So the first thing I did was fly to Florida. I'm like, I'm fixing this. That's my thought. I'm fixing this. They were very warm, very welcome, blown away by what I had to say. And they started operating and trying to get rid of the fraud in Florida. But what they told me is, right now, a lot of these people might have license in Florida, but they're committing fraud in other states. So you need to file cases in those other states, which of course was, mind-boggling, meaning that I had to go to other states now, which is fine. So I've been working with fraud, departments across the nation, but CMS could stop it. They could stop it, but they just choose not to.
What would you say is at least in the ACA space, is the highest amount of fraud coming from just rogue agents flipping AORs? Or is there other types of fraud that I'm not aware of in the ACA space that you're going after?
The biggest it is and has been, in the beginning, was the rogue entities coming into that, figure out who that person is, setting up a bot, running names. People would they take your client, change it, you change it back, change it that quick. So a person can't do that. That is a bot. So There's so many things that it's fraught with. But what I'm hearing now is there are people that are acting like they're the agent. So these fraudulent entities are calling folks and saying, hey, I'm Ronnell Nolan. I'd like to renew your marketplace plan. And then when they renew it, they put the other NPN number on it. So the fraud is crazy. There's bad in every industry.
Always.
But we didn't have this problem until that, such free, open to fraud. And I've told folks, what we think about is I put name, state, and date of birth, and I find people. Okay, that's one thing. But what they don't realize is the identity theft that could be stolen on a huge level, not just ACA, because that tells me where that person lives, their date of birth, all their information that I could go in and therefore do other things to that person.
If you were to speculate on who you think these rogue entities are, would you say they're more likely to be independent agents or small groups of independent agents that just have had it and they want to be criminal? Or would you say it's more likely overseas call centers, interior call centers, other entities of that nature? Like, where do you think it lies more?
Yeah, I'm being told they're call centers. I heard Pakistan several times.
Yeah.
And I think there was some call centers out of Florida. And last time I talked to my Florida contact, he said they found a company that was taking the test for people, giving them fraudulent license because they didn't really pass. And then those people were out there being rogue entities. Well, they shut that down, but they found that there. And I guess, Florida's a place where people come in from other countries and maybe they're looking to make money. I heard a crazy story the other day because we have several whistleblowers everywhere. And this whistleblower worked for one of the EDs that were pulled, that CMS finally pulled. And he said they were told, they got instructions that if you didn't make a sale, to go to a cemetery, walk around, find someone that with under 65 that died within that year and write their insurance. Now that's insane, but that happened.
Mhm.
You know, you think like, how? But if we had a two-factor authentication, that person wouldn't even be able to get into the system because the client's dead and they couldn't tell you what their special word or their social security number or whatever was.
Yeah. I have to have 2FA on my GoDaddy account just to update my email address or make some simple change.
Me too.
Wild. And not just 2FA. I have to have my account number, my PIN code, and then 2FA on the back end to make sure that that change is real. And that's just a simple update on my contact information at GoDaddy. Nothing that would actually affect my health insurance or my ability to care for myself and take care of myself.
Right.
This and I'm glad we're in this space where we're talking kind of about the call centers versus, is it interior rogue independent agents? Is it call centers that are doing this? Where's it at? When I go through going to the kind of the Medicare side of things, because that's where I live, when I go and I look at the legislation, especially in the last probably 3 different CMS final rules that they've proposed or put into place, everything that I read seems like they're trying to make it harder for the independent individual business owner to make a living, but they're propping up these giant call centers that, in my opinion, I'm not going to name any of the names like eHealth, GoHealth, or SelectQuote. I won't call them out like that. But these guys, in my opinion, and maybe I'm wrong. If you work for one of those organizations, you want to tell me that I'm wrong, I got no problem saying that, and I'll invite you on the show and we can hash it out. But my idea is that these guys don't truly care about the beneficiary. They are in a flip it and rip it environment. All I need to do is get this person on the phone, convince them that they don't already have the best Medicare Advantage plan for them, flip it, and move on to the next call. I'm not going to go and try to explain to them why their Medicare Advantage plan needs a hospital indemnity plan paired with it, why it needs cancer insurance paired with it, why it might need a home health care policy paired with it. And they have so much money that for them to have a recording system that keeps 10 years of records, piece of cake for them. No big deal. For them to make sure that their marketing materials are filed properly. And like every time when I look at these stupid rules and it says, hey, you can't have any marketing that looks like you are Medicare. And then I'm sitting at the sports bar and I see on the TV a giant red, white, and blue ad that looks like a helpline for Medicare that I know is going to either eHealth, GoHealth, or SelectQuote or somebody else like that. It drives me insane.
On ESPN too, which was wild to me.
Yeah, I have told CMS, if you turn off those stupid commercials, then these seniors wouldn't, because they're lonely, call Jerry Jeff Walker because they want to talk to somebody, and that person ends up changing their plan. That's a one thing we need to do, is turn those stupid commercials off, and that kind of answers part of your question. But you know, us as agents, we can't call folks. Folks have to call us. But what we've learned in my research is those call centers call someone, and the key word is yes. So if they say, you know, is the weather beautiful? And the senior says yes, that is consent to send them to an agent in that call center.
Right.
Now that's wrong. And everybody knows it's happening. So why are you allowing that to happen? You're right. Why put all these rules and regs on the good people, the people that are working in the right way, and then allow these bad entities to just go rogue? It makes no sense.
Yeah, 100%. And this has been a topic of discussion here and there. I know my buddy Justin Brock has really hit on this quite a bit over the last few years with some of these rules. Like, you have call centers in overseas call centers, right, that are cold calling our seniors illegally, because you're not allowed to cold call a 65-year up, at least with the intention to sell them a Medicare Advantage plan, right? And they do exactly what you're saying. They get some false consent that they can attach, and then they live transfer it into one of these massive call centers that just flips and rips the plan and moves on with their life to the next person. Like, if there's anybody that's being misleading, if there's any group out there that is not working in the beneficiary's best interest, I'm 100% blaming it on them.
Absolutely.
But they have the deeper pockets to lobby with, right? They have the deeper influence, right? And then in the meanwhile,
they should. But what I've learned is bigger mouths and no money can work just as hard.
Excellent.
It's true. It is true. And you think about, and it's right. Some of these lobbying firms have lots of money. Hoffa has 2 PACs, but we don't have $1 million. But I can go pay $500, sit and have breakfast with a congressman or a senator, and have his attention for an hour. So I mean, that works the same way as writing big old checks like some of these folks do. They don't have the senator or congressman doesn't respect them anymore than they respect us little guys.
Yeah.
It's just
I would say that's even
relationships,
more
telling
effective.
the truth and being honest.
Absolutely.
It's not about what you know, but who you know. I wanted to ask you this. So I was going through your site and just kind of reading some of the stuff about leadership and about y'all and what you guys are doing at Hoffa. And you were actually a few years back where you were awarded the most influential women in employee benefits, as well as the Women of Excellence by the Louisiana Legislative Women's Caucus Foundation. I wanted to ask you, as you're sitting here and you're lobbying and you're really fighting for the agent, what did those awards mean to you as a woman in what has been a very male-dominated industry? And how would you speak to other women that are operating in the industry as well? But I would like to hear was that really super important to you, and just talk through some of that, because that's a big award.
Well, what was so amazing is with the Women's Excellent Award, I also got the cover of their magazine. And if you can imagine, girl from Louisiana who's fighting with, a couple of dollars in her pocket, and she gets on the cover of her magazine is just huge. And when I started Hoffa, I started it with $0. So some people say, I've never heard of you. Well, we haven't spent millions of dollars to market. We do everything grassroots, but being in a male dominated world, it's important that women, stand strong and continue to work. But a funny story, when the ACA was passed, we had all these agents saying before it was passed, it's not going to be passed, not going to be passed. And I kept saying it was. And this one man sends me an email and says, well, let's fight it out like men, because he thought Ronnell was a man. So I started putting my picture on my emails, because I'm like, I'll fight you, but I'm a lady. But it's important. So anytime you get awarded, and you guys know, anytime you get any kind of accolade, or you're quoted in a magazine, it's just like, I'm making a difference. It's not like you feel that good about yourself. It's more, I'm making a difference. Somebody heard me. Somebody saw it.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I just got into Marquise Who's Who, which it's my first publication and all this, and
that's amazing.
Pretty much was ultimately kind of a money grab, in my opinion, but whatever. I got published and I'm all over the place, and I got the little honorary badge and everything. Warren Buffett was one of those honorees as well, so that's just kind of what I'm leaning on.
Put you in that level.
Yeah. When did Hoffa start? When did you found that?
November 2012. So very interesting story. I was lobbying for another association, and there was a bill that came in Louisiana that said insurance companies were not going to pay agents. So I was like, oh, right up my alley. Let's kill this bill. And the other association said, you can't fight that. That's antitrust, and you can't go to the Capitol. You can't do anything. And if you do it, you're fired. And so I said, well, why don't I just quit? So within a week, November 2012, I started Hoffa, and I killed that bill 2 years in a row, never made it to committee. So it was like, not on my watch, not going to happen. And if I have to start my own association, I will.
Yeah, 12 years to the day, almost, right?
So
this is our anniversary.
You killed that bill, just by being an advocate and voicing your opinion? And you're able
Absolutely.
to influence their decision?
Absolutely. It's all about, I call it the stalking method. I stalk people, and eventually you're going to be my friend. So if I just stand by you for an hour, eventually you're going to talk to me. So it's all about relationships and building their trust. And not everybody trusts lobbyists. So knowing that what I'm telling them is the truth, and that, you get those folks on your side, and you won't lose. I mean, you just won't.
Absolutely. Outside of, say, joining an organization like Hoffa or whatnot, what are other things that you think a health insurance agent should be doing to help affect positive change? Get
involved. First thing, people are scared of politicians. They put on their pants and their dresses just like you. They're people just like you. Some of them are insurance agents. Some of them are pharmacists. Some of them are, they're just everyday folks. they just work in Washington. Send them letters, send them, emails, go visit. I do things a little bit different in that, NABIP does a big CapCon. They were talking about doing it in February. I, every month, just take a group of folks, no more than 10, let's hit the hill. And we go meet with senators and congressmen and let them see it's easy. They want to hear your story. And I don't go in with, these are the points and this is what you need to say. No, we say, okay, these are our points. You tell your story and you tell your story. And you tell your story. Now, of course, I have to give them time limits because some people go insane and they want to talk all day. And, the legislator only has so much time. But It's important that we get involved and you're not scared to go to Washington. If you can afford to go to Washington, you want to go to Washington, then you come with me to Washington and I'll absolutely bring you and you will be hooked for life.
I love you said, facts tell, stories are what sell. Question for you. Do you have any type of sales approach when you are entering those conversations with legislative or, with senators or anything like that when it comes to trying to push what you're trying to fight for? Is there any type of, I would assume there's sales built into that and you come from starting an agency to then now lobbying and everything that you're doing with HAFA. What's your insights on that?
I mean, again, it's all about, relationships. One thing that I do that makes some people uncomfortable, but I'm from Louisiana. I hug them and I'm a hugger. So first thing you're going to get is hugged and they're, eventually, like I said, they're going to be your friend and they're going to get it. And if they trust you and you're professional and you have your points, I always bring, like a brochure with our white papers, with our talking points, with everything we like to do to leave with them. A lot of them like to have their name on there, so I'll put a label with their name. So it's just for them. But it's just about being honest, being sincere, and just hugging their guts.
So it's funny. I'm a hugger too. And I tell everybody I'm a hugger, but it's like, you got to kind of be careful every now and then. Cause I am like a big ass 6'6" dude. It's just like first time meeting me, it's kind of like it might just be awkward. Cause they're like, do I go up or down? Like, how do I hug this guy? That's like,
Exactly.
We'll be friends. I'm a hugger too. That's fun. So.
When they make some of these rules, pardon me, like for example, CMS just dropped their 2026 proposed final rule. They give us an option to comment, right? And they tell us how to comment. How effective is that really for an agent to take time to write his congressman or his representative or make comments on those final rules? Are they just placating us and like, oh, here's your little voice, make your little comments, little peasants? Or is that actually an effective action for an agent to take?
It's important to take the action. Absolutely. Because if there's, thousands of comments from agents and brokers, it's wonderful. It shouldn't be a copy and paste that everybody uses the same letter. That's not effective.
Right.
Does this administration care what we say? No. If you go back and read their synopsis of what they got out of the comments, it'll be something stupid like, agents complained about not getting paid. And I read every comment. I know nobody said that. I have learned so much working in this space that what was it? The rule about, I think it was Medicare recording. I think it was this. And the Senate Help staffer called me and said, Ronnell, I just had a call with CMS and they said 6 people, said that someone called them and they put them in the wrong plan. 6. And they made a rule for the whole industry to do. And I'm like, so I call CMS and I'm like, hey, how many people does it take for you to make a rule? Oh, we don't have a certain count. How about 6 for this one? Come on.
Right.
Some of the stuff they do, I keep saying there's nobody watching the hen house. There's nobody saying, hey, you need to stop. And that's why next week is so important to me to start putting that out there. Because this past year, Republicans couldn't do anything. They couldn't stop CMS. They could send letters. There was a couple of things that I got Senator Cassidy to do that CMS did immediately, but overall it was hard for the Republicans to get that administration to make changes. But this one is going to be totally different. Republican House, Republican Senate, Republican president, and new people coming in to run Medicare and Society.
I feel like everything's teed up, pardon me, for a massive change. right? And I'm going to take it back a little bit. I don't know how familiar you are with the whole Chevron deference law that Supreme Court threw out back this summer. I think that was
Right.
June. What do you think the odds are, in your opinion, that we're going to see some of this regulation get dialed back?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think Trump's not going to have any problem whatsoever. Neither are the people that are in those cabinet positions are going to have a problem with taking a look at some of this ridiculous stuff and just changing the rule, because Trump did it last time.
Right.
You know, the short-term medical, all that craziness, he just reversed it. He can reverse it. We've just got to get in front of them and let them know what's going on. And I got some very good advice from the chief of staff from the Speaker of the House. And she said, Ronnell, you need to start screaming now before the new people take over. And then you start screaming after 2025 starts. But you start now with what the problems are. And then you continue to scream through 2025. And that's what we're doing. I really work hard. Those that work on House Ways and Means, Energy and Commerce, Senate Help, Senate Finance. I mean, I even met with the staffers of Senator Wyden, Democrat. We need both sides. It's not a Republican Democrat. We need both sides. And he was trying to put in some legislation to control the fraud and abuse. And I was like, absolutely, I'm happy to work with you. So it's just people. People like to put you in a box and say, oh, well, you're this or you're that. And I always say, I hate to say this, devil, but I'll work with the devil if he helps us save our jobs. So whatever person that is, whatever, Democrat, Independent, Republican, doesn't matter. If you're a Hoffa hero and you're willing to listen and you're willing to help me, then I love you and you are my friend. And that's it.
And you're getting a big old hug.
Exactly, whether you like it or not.
Right. Well, so real quick, obviously, I think anybody that's sitting here listening, and even for me, the first time meeting you, you obviously know a lot and you are very well connected. We talk about this a lot, that if you want to go fast, you do it alone. But if you want to go far, you got to do it with others, right? It's the whole saying, it takes a tribe. So why don't, for the tail end of the show, why don't you just talk 2, 3, 5 minutes? I don't care, however long. Just talk about what Hoffa is, kind of what y'all's mission statement is. I think a lot of anybody, again, listening, or if you're catching the replay, you can kind of tell throughout the show, like, what the mission statement is. But just kind of wanted to give you the spotlight just to talk about what all you guys got going on, how people can join. Lily, if you want, if you could go ahead and drop the link to their site again. And then if there's a better way that you would like for them to reach out, definitely drop that as well.
No, absolutely. The website, click on membership. We'd love to have you. I think if you take a look at some of our photos, you'll see some of the key players that we hang out with. Not many people can say they've had donuts and coffee on the speaker's balcony, which I have, and our Hoffa members have. So we are very, very well connected. I say that Hoffa is this little engine that could, because we're not huge. And if you looked at us on paper, there's no way that we should have as big a footprint as we do and sit on the CMS, trade associations and things like that. We shouldn't be there. But because I believe that we all love what we do, and we love the clients that we represent, that it works. One thing I didn't mention, and isn't in my bio, that we've just now said we can say, I work on a committee with the White House for small business, which agents and brokers are small business. And it's fighting against government taking private jobs, such as like navigators on the ACA side. So that's one of my meetings for next week too. But Health Agents for America, it's for everybody. Back in the day when CMS first talked about ACA, they talked about the need for navigators. And they said they needed navigators in the ACA because agents didn't speak different languages, didn't talk to the poor, and wouldn't go into rural areas. And I think that was the day I started high blood pressure medicine. I was so mad. And recently we put together a Faces of Hoffa. And it was these agents from every different background and every different language, and said, here's CMS. This is what an agent looks like. We are all different type of people brought together. And we showed it at our conference in Washington, D.C. in August, and CMS was there, and they said, can I have that video? I'd like to show it to our brass. And I said, yeah, you need that video. So what we wanted to do is, be an association that represents the agent, that I'm in the forefront, I'm not, I'm not in this high rise building. If someone needs to Zoom with me and they're our meeting, they're a member, absolutely. I'm going to find time to Zoom with them. I'm never too important. I'm never too far away from being what agents need, and they need someone they can rely on. And I think that's what we've created. And, we believe in, agents doing what they do best. And I believe our agents are the good entities. I don't believe that somebody put on Facebook, Ronnell, what do you think, you have any bad agents? No. I mean, that might be naive, but no, we're the people that are fighting, that are given to our PAC, that are paying membership dues, that are going to Washington, D.C., that are going to our summits. And we want to stay in this industry. And if we don't stand up and fight, and we don't have people like Hoffa, we're not going to survive. I mean, PNC is going to be gone. They're regulated. Medicare is regulated like insane. ACA too. So we've got to get involved, and we've got to be part of, the solution and not the problem. And I always say, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu, and that is the truth. But
Right.
happy to, answer anything else. But we'd love to have any members. We have 3 levels of membership: congressional, senatorial, and presidential. Presidential sits on our board. Senatorial, if you're licensed in different states, you're listed on our website and in every state that you're licensed. And congressional, you're still listed on the website. It's just the state that you're licensed. So we want to make sure you get exposure. People use that all the time. They'll say, Ronnell, do you have an agent in wherever? Absolutely. Go to the website, click on that state, click on that city, and find you a reputable agent that'll take care of you. It also has the languages they speak, and it tells them if they sell ACA, if they sell life, if they sell disability, if they sell group, whatever they sell, it's listed.
Love that. You brought up a navigator, right? And in a sense, Hoffa is the navigator for the insurance agent and helping them navigate the waters and all the regulations and all the guidelines and that's, I mean, you brought it up earlier, not to beat a dead horse here, but it's like dropping this shit. And I don't do AEP or OEP, but dropping this stuff in the middle of the busiest time of year is just like, come on, y'all. It's almost like they knew what they were doing, right?
Yeah.
No, they do.
Right.
And the ACA proposed regs, they released them 3 days before open enrollment. And they said, Ronnell, is that better? I'm like, are y'all nuts? No, that's not better. We've got to respond in the middle of open enrollment. What is wrong with y'all? Don't tell me you can only do it at this time. And they're like, yeah, that's the time we do it. No, that's the time you do it when we can't pay attention. And I can't get thousands of agents to do comments like you were saying, because they're, up to their eyeballs and alligators trying to enroll people. So yes, absolutely. It's done on purpose. No doubt.
Agreed.
It's very strategic.
Agreed. Well, my voice is pretty much gone, but I really appreciate you coming on the show. Joe, if you don't mind just picking it up.
He's just so emotional about how good this show was. He's going to need to take some time. No, seriously, it was amazing. I said it to start, like, I'm selfishly listening to this as well because I don't know anything about this yet. I should. I love that you brought up, and anybody that's listening to this, even if you are the one man, one woman shop, you are the little engine that could. We talked about it last week on the show where today is your day. And maybe today is the day that you take 5 minutes to comment, that you take 10 minutes to send a well-scripted email. I mean, hell, you could just use ChatGPT to help you write a well-scripted email to a government official, right? Or whatever that is.
Absolutely.
You are the little engine that could. So real quick, how can people reach out to you? And we'll go ahead and wrap up the show.
Yeah, the easiest way is you can email me directly. It's Ronnell, RONNELL @HAF, I'm happy to help anybody with any situation. I know a lot of people are struggling, but know I'm there. And if there is something on your wish list, Christmas is coming, something on your wish list, you need to send it to me so I can get in front of Congress with it. So it might be something I'm not thinking about, but it's something that's important to you. It's important to me, and I will bring it with me to Washington.
Awesome. Look out for my email because it's coming.
It's coming.
Good. I need it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. And speaking of thankfulness, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I hope you guys all have an amazing Turkey Day. We really appreciate your time. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. If you guys are catching the replay, look, we already got comments. Appreciate the insight. Had no idea this was happening. Count me in. I'm ready to stand shoulder to shoulder and fight alongside you. Let's go.
Awesome.
We love to see those comments. Thank you, everybody, again, for tuning in. Happy Winning on Wednesday. We will see y'all next week at 9 a.m. Central. See ya.
Thanks.